Cho Sampo Bagyo Trashi Pa Tuche Tepe Belge Dolo Zambe Zebra Ande Lame Omo Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Monisha Sane Uta Vata Nishri Vata Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Monisha Sane Karma Uta Vata Nishri Vata Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Monisha Sane Varsamanya sarva siddhi Pakyuke kudan dagelo Pakyuke sundan dagi Pakyuke sudan dagi Eyerme chintu chingelo Pakyuke kudan dagelo Pakyuke sundan dagi Makyuke tudan dagi Eyerme çikto çingi Oma muni muni Maha muni Shakya muni so Sange çodan soge çanamla Cancu vardo dane kyapso Dagi chinso kibe sanam Rola pinchire sange drupash Sange çodan soge çanamla Cancu vardo dane Kibe sanangi Rola pinchire sange drupash Sange çodan soge çonamla Chanchu pardo dani Kive sonangi Rola pinchira sange drupash In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I obtain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. Buongiorno. So, good afternoon. Parlerò come questi ultimi giorni in inglese, perciò per la traduzione italiana c'è Francesco che farà la traduzione simultanea. Se qualcuno ha bisogno di traduzione all'italiano ci sono le cuffie, che Maria può aiutare per dare le cuffie a chi dovesse servire. Maria, il microfono, c'è il suono. Sono già senza voce. Adesso non andiamo concentrate well. Okay, so there is a very important verse which says, Neni sheche, negi gyuri panchalan. Poi la terza riga non me la ricordo. Comunque, il significato se ne do, sorry. There is a verse, which is a very important verse, from I think it's from the Uttara Tantra, which was taught by Buddha Maitreya, written by a Sangha. And he says, the sickness is to be known, its causes to be abandoned. The state of healing, the state of health is to be recognized, and the medicine is to be taken. So this is actually a very condensed way of summarizing how we should deal with most of the issues and problems in our lives, which it is basically, first we need to recognize the problem as a problem. Second, we must recognize where is this problem actually coming from. Cinque dovrebbe essere. Vedi che quando la voce anche la tecnologia segue un po', però. Okay. Working now. Funziona. Okay. So it says the sickness is to be recognized. The causes are to be known, abandoned. The sickness is to be known. The causes are to be abandoned. The health state is to be known, and the medicine is to be taken. So this is actually, we have here 4 steps which are fundamentally important into dealing with any type of situation. The first step is we recognize that there is something that is wrong. Until we don't see the problem as a problem, we will never put any effort to deal with it. Until we do not recognize the sickness as a sickness, we will not put any energy to cure it. So, it's fundamentally important, first step, we must recognize the sickness. We must recognize what is wrong. We must recognize the darkness. We must recognize whatever as we see as negative that is harmful. Because one of the main issues that happen often is that when we do not see the enemies as enemies, we do not see what is harmful as harmful. So also Rinpoche, the self-healing number 1, very often he taught about this very basic concept, but very important, in which he says, recognizing the enemies as enemies. And instead of, there are some enemies that we see them as friends. Actually, an enemy seen as a friend is more dangerous than an enemy seen as an enemy. So basically, who is an enemy? Is something or someone that harms us directly. So, one of the important steps in the beginning is we must recognize what is actually harming us. Okay. The second step is we need to understand what is making this harm, where is it coming from. And this is a very difficult step, because our tendency is that whenever we recognize harm, whenever we recognize sickness, problem, difficulty, whatever way we call it, what we want to do is to eliminate the symptoms. Because how can we recognize a problem? If we follow the same metaphor, how can we recognize a sickness? Through the symptoms. Normally we go to a doctor because the doctor knows how to read these symptoms and tell us, oh, these symptoms means you have this. So, our tendency is that we just want to take away the symptoms. We don't care really so much about what is creating that symptoms. So what we do normally, we jump one step from what Buddha have taught us. What Buddha said, recognize the sickness, abandon the causes, know the state of health, and take the medicine, follow the path of healing. Because if I take the medicine and I believe, okay, I know the state of health, I believe I can get healthy, I believe I can solve the problem, I believe in the solution, and because I believe in the solution, I put effort on the path for the solution, but I do not abandon the causes of the problem. I am putting energy at two places at the same time. They are contradictory. So finally, it doesn't really work. Actually, I have many friends who are doctors, and I'm quite sorry for many doctors, because I think sometimes it's quite frustrating in the sense that we go to the doctor, I include myself, then we go and the doctor says, oh look, I have this and I have that, and the doctor said, yes, okay, so you do this, that, and that, take this medicine, do this diet, follow these exercises, do this, don't worry too much, whatever. Tells us what to do. And then we do it for a bit because we are really being harmed by the symptoms. But as soon as the symptoms pass, we stop. And what happened? We continue doing the things that create the sickness. So what happened? After some time, we need to go back to the doctor. Oh, doctor, I got pain again. Are you doing the exercise? Not so really. Have you stopped acting in this way? Have you stopped eating in this way or doing this or that? No. So if you have not stopped your bad habits that are creating the sickness, I can give you medicine forever. It will not really solve anything. Okay. So it is very important that whenever we recognize a problem, it's not enough. It's another issue. I see very often, once we recognize an issue that is not okay, for whatever reason, we think that once I recognize what is wrong, then that's enough to eliminate the wrong. That's not true. For example, I see many people, oh, I am too angry, and I get very angry, or I am very jealous, or I am very envy, or whatever. Or I have a lot of fear, and this is like recognizing a sickness, something that is not well. And the point is that we think that by simply recognizing that being angry is bad, we'll eliminate anger, which is not true. It's like pointing a finger to the sickness and saying, I am sick, I am sick, I am sick, how bad is this sickness? This will not cure the disease. We need to have other steps which are fundamentally important, which is recognize what is generating the disease, giving strength to the disease, and abandon it. And the problem is that most of the times what generates the disease are things that we like. Or, in other words, things that we are used to do, part of our habits. And here by disease, I'm not talking about only physical disease. This is also a metaphor for the conflicts that we have in life, for other sufferings in general. And then the third part is recognizing that I can get cured. We must be able to imagine ourselves free from that disease. If we do not believe on our own potential, we will not take the medicine that has a bitter taste, and we will not stop taking the poison that is sweet. So basically, we must truly believe in our own potential. Then, once we do this, then we go to the fourth step, which is, okay, then now I need to follow the path. I will do whatever is necessary to cure my disease, taking the medicine, okay? And again, it's taking the medicine. It's not as Shantideva said. Shantideva said listening to teachings and not putting them into practice is like getting a prescription and thinking that you are cured just by having a prescription. If I have a beautiful prescription and I frame it and I put it in my room, will that make me to get cured? What I need to do? I need to take the medicine myself. And taking the medicine is similar to put into practice the teachings, apply the concepts, the methods in our own life. Okay. So now, in the 8 verses of mind training in the Lojong that we are looking at these days, which is for me one of the most precious teachings and instructions that I have ever received. The first step, which is called, we say in Tibetan, Panchen Lobsang Chokyi Gyaltsen, which is in the 7-point mind training. And it says, banish the one to blame for everything. First step is recognize the sickness as a sickness. Recognize the enemy as an enemy. We were talking about this the other day as understanding what is a healthy mind and what is an unhealthy mind. And we were giving signs of an unhealthy mind. For example, okay, first of all, we don't need to feel guilty that, okay, I'm going to fit in the example. We all fit in the example, okay? Here, healthy and unhealthy doesn't mean like, okay, it's actually a psychiatric patient or not. This is not what I mean by unhealthy mind, okay? But an unhealthy mind is a mind that is never satisfied. And signs of having an unhealthy mind, never being truly satisfied, having this emptiness inside that we try to fill in some way, reacting to the world and putting oneself as the victim, victimizing oneself, reacting to the world, or attacking or defending oneself, living on the basis of expectations, and being in suffering when things are not as we think they should have been. Okay. So we live in the world in an inconsistent, in an incoherent way with what the world actually is. And one of the main signs of an unhealthy mind is the obsession with oneself. The more we are obsessed with our own selves, the more this is a sign that we are unbalanced, that we are unhealthy. Okay. So on the other side, what would we call a healthy mind? Is an inner state in which there is satisfaction. So we don't need to look for situations and for things to fill up this hole inside. There is a deep state of satisfaction. And as we did the other day, try just to imagine how would be our life with exactly what we already do, but with a healthy mind. We have deep satisfaction. We don't need to look for anything to fill that hole inside because there is no hole. We are fully satisfied. We relate with harmony with those around us and with ourselves. There is inner stability. We don't shake our emotions too strong according to what happens. We feel what happens and we perceive the world, but it doesn't take us out of our own center. So this means when something good happens, we are not completely overwhelmed by excitement. And when something negative happens, we are not taken to suffering and despair. We remain stable. One other very clear sign of a healthy mind is the healthy mind never gets stuck into problems. It's always ready to find solutions. It's always looking forward for solutions. It's in front of whatever situation. A healthy mind is a mind that is in harmony with oneself and others, and is able to see others and to love them without feeling that it's losing anything. One of the signs of an unhealthy mind is the fact that within an unhealthy mind we think that by loving someone I need to give something away to myself. I am losing something. The more I love, the more somehow I'm losing something. Okay. So, the question that we put to ourselves is, do I have any of the symptoms of an unhealthy mind? No. Do I have like this sort of constant insatisfaction that sometimes is filled up, but as soon as I give some space, it comes up again? There is this constant running and this constant race, let's call it like that, to try to be happy in ways that we are not able to do. So we are constantly projecting our happiness outside, trying to stop the things that we think are harmful to us, trying to get the things that we think that are good to us. So basically this is another aspect of, let's so call in this context, an unhealthy mind, which is the fact that we always project outside of us our own state of well-being. And in this way we end up victimizing ourselves. So, as you know, myself, I am in this category. Hopefully I am in the process of healing, going to a healthy mind. But I do not recognize myself as being fully already there. Okay? And each one of us, we have our own step, we are on our own level. The point is that the first part, recognize the sickness as sickness. And if we would go to Buddha as a doctor, and he say, oh Buddha, you know, I come to you because I don't feel so well. And he would ask us, what are the symptoms that you have? And we'll say, oh no, Buddha, you know, I have this very strong insatisfaction. And at the same time that there is this infinite hole inside that I cannot fill, I don't have enough space to deal with anything. So it's like this infinite space of a hole filled up with no space to deal with situations. And I end up reacting to things, and I am constant and put myself as always in the defense or in the attack, and I am unsatisfied, I'm not happy. There are moments of pleasure, but I am always in these ups and downs, constantly, and I am tired of it. And then we go to Buddha. Buddha looked to us and said, you are sick. The name of your sickness is called selfishness. And it's created by the virus of ignorance. But first we need to deal with selfishness. Selfishness basically is the obsession with self-gratification. There is one very interesting thing about selfishness and about altruism, which is the opposite of selfishness. Rangchenzing, Tibetan, which means to grasp at one's own self, like to cherish oneself, self-cherishing, and Shinchenzing, to cherish others, to hold for the happiness of oneself and to hold for the happiness of others. No? So, all of us, we have a very, very basic instinct. It doesn't matter who we are. And for me, this is a very important aspect, that there is a force, there is we can call it an energy, we can call it force, a form of desire, that makes everything move. is a force of attraction for happiness and aversion for suffering. In other cultures we can call it even the yin and the yang, or male and female. We can call it in many different ways. But making it simple, every one of us, we have attraction for our own happiness, and we have aversion for suffering. We want to be happy and we don't want to suffer. And everything that we do, we are moved by that. And there's nothing wrong into this attitude and into this desire or this energy, this force. I like to call it a force because it's what stimulates us and it what makes us to do everything that we do. So selfishness is when this extremely powerful force, it's blocked only towards us. So basically, it's like the desire for happiness and the aversion for suffering is blocked within our own selves. So we put ourselves in the center of the universe, and we see each and everything in relation to our happiness and to our suffering. It's actually quite disturbing when we look clearly at it, because we are not able to see the other, and we only see how the other relates to us. I had a very short encounter today as coming down from the Mahayana Buddhist house to here. That it's connected to the verse that we're going to read. And someone looked at me, I said good morning, and he insulted me. Yeah, just now. Doesn't matter. And then, what is I don't need to repeat the insult, it doesn't matter. What happened is that when someone comes and talks to us, normally we do not relate with the person. We relate to the way of what we receive. If the person is kind and nice to us, we are happy, and we are happy about the person, which is good to be kind and nice, but about what we receive. When someone treats us with aggression, our tendency is aversion. So basically we have difficulty seeing the other person. Why? Because we see the relationship between the other person and me, what I receive. I receive pleasure or I receive suffering. This is what we look at. I don't know if it's clear, this. Yes, no? In other words, we very rarely relate truly to the other people. Mostly we relate to what we receive from the others. In other words, we don't relate truly so much to the other people, we relate to what the others are for me, are for us. That's what we do mostly. So, in this case, someone comes and insults us. First of all, that's his choice. I don't need to take that upon myself. Second, that's a manifestation of one's own state of not being well, of suffering and frustration. So, sincerely, it doesn't shake me, but it gives some sort of a feeling of, let's not say pity, but like saying, you could be so well, you could do so much differently. By this, doing like this, you are just harming yourself and others, that's all. So, what happened here is that through selfishness, we just relate to the world through ourselves. We are not able to see others independently of the future of ourselves. And this is making us to suffer. The more we are constantly looking to others through ourselves only, the more we will suffer. And what we do at the same time is that whenever we have a sensation of suffering, we look for someone to blame. It's like, it happened to me a few times, like, to be with someone, and then the person is, I remember well, to give a good example. For example, one person it's not well. And then the other person said, oh, but you know, but what did I say wrong? I didn't do anything. And so the kid said, come on, it's not everything about you. If the other person is not well, it hasn't necessarily to do with you, you know. And there we are, we blame ourselves if the other is not well because we think, what have I done? And maybe you have done one thing together with the other million things necessary for that person to be like that, you know. And then we always look to others through our own self. And it's very tiring, actually. So one of the very important steps on our own path is recognizing that this attitude is something that is to be abandoned. It's something that is harmful towards us. So one of the process on what we call mind training, we train our mind to be altruistic and not to be selfish. In other words, what we train ourselves to take that strong desire for happiness and that strong aversion for suffering, that we already have that energy. And what we do, we simply share it with others. We open that for others. And then, how do I know if I love someone or if I don't love that person? Am I attracted by your happiness or not? If I have attraction for your happiness, this means I love you. Not conceptual, deep inside. If I have aversion for your suffering, I have compassion. Simple as that. I want to avoid your suffering. As soon as you suffer, I don't like it, and I want to avoid it. No, attraction, we want it. Aversion, we want to avoid it. So if we want the other to be happy, we love him. If we don't want the other to suffer, we have compassion. It's exactly the same energy that we have towards ourselves. The only difference between selfishness and altruism is that selfishness is closed towards oneself, and altruism is open towards others. That's the only difference. The energy is the same, the attitude is the same. Okay? So, one of the things that if we go through each of the 8 verses of mind training, it is actually giving us tools to generate behaviors that are opposite to selfishness. Like recognizing what are selfish behaviors and what are the behaviors on the other side, altruistic behaviors, and then we need to train ourselves on the non-selfish as altruistic behaviors. Okay? So, let's go to the verse of today. I was going to read the ones of yesterday, but I said, no, otherwise we don't go. It says, Dala shengi chatogi shekur laso mirikpe kyonka rangi lembada gyalka shenla bilwarsho. When others, out of envy, treat me unfairly, with scolding, insults, and more, may I accept the loss upon myself and offer the victory to others. I'll read it once again. French, c'è il testo in italiano. When others, out of envy, treat me unfairly, with scolding, insults, and more, may I accept the loss upon myself and offer the victory to others. In other words, when people treat us in a way that we don't like, okay, insulting us, treating us with aversion, treating us with aggression, and so on, especially verbally. Okay, here. What we do normally. What is the selfish way of reacting? We want to show that we are right. How you dare talk to me in this way? How you dare say these things to me? How you dare act in this way towards me? So we enter into conflict. And basically what we do is we enter in the same energy of the other person. Okay. What is saying here is when I say I accept the loss upon myself and I give to others the victory. In other words, it means we do not enter into the energy of the other person. Okay. You think I am whatever, big-headed? Fine. You know? When I was, this is just a great example, then I remember, when I was a small kid in school, some other kids called me big head. I don't know, for whatever reason they thought I had a big head, so it was a tried way of insulting me. And I had one thing which I used to do since I was small. It worked quite well, actually. That's why I repeated it. Is whenever they try to insult me in whatever way, which is things that kids do. We think that kids are pure. I'm not that sure. Anyhow, at least me and my friends, we were not. Okay? So what happened is that they came to insult me. Whenever they tried in school to insult me with something, I would actually give the victory to them. And I would say, oh yes, I have a big head. Yes, I have a really big head. You know how good is my head that's big like this. Whatever. I was like, not put myself in the defensive way, but actually give them the victory, and by that they had no victory. Because their objective, anyone's objective when insulting someone, is the objective of what? Of harming the other. Putting the other in a difficult position. But if I give you the victory, I don't take the loss truly. So by giving the victory, actually we are the victorious. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to do this and it worked really well, because finally no one else, everyone stopped saying anything to me at a certain point, because there was one moment precise of some time there where there was this. And then, you know, it finishes. And also the other thing is, I remember clearly when some kids would come with this energy of insult and trying to harm. In the moment that we don't enter into that, after a short time, somehow it fades away. And then we could be friends playing together again. So what happened basically is whenever someone comes towards us with an attitude of insult, with an attitude of harm, it's like, more or less, what happens is like if we look, for example, in martial arts. If someone comes towards us to hit us, okay, and what we do, our tendency is we defend ourselves. This means we create an impact. And in the moment that we create an impact, we give victory because we are being harmed. Or we react back. So this means what? It's working. The attack that you are doing on me, it works. Okay? But instead, if you come to attack me, and I simply move, and I allow your energy to go somewhere else, I don't allow you to attack me. I do not truly react on your attack. I just take myself out of the sight of danger. What happens is that in this way, actually, I get the victory. Because, I don't know if it's clear, but when we react, when we put ourselves in the defensive mode, it means the attack works. When we do not put ourselves in the defense mode, it means the attack didn't work. So whenever someone attacks us and we enter into the defense mode, what will happen? Will come another attack again. It works, so I attack again also. And we enter into that energy. And it just generates more and more conflict. Instead, when there is an attack and we do not enter into that energy, most probably there will be another attack. and another attack, up to a moment where there will truly no attack. So, the concept of taking upon ourselves the loss and giving the victory to the other. Actually, it may look a little bit like, okay, yeah, so I will just take upon myself all the problems and the loss, and then what about the other? He will think that he's right. But actually, it's not like this. Because whenever someone attacks another person, and the other person doesn't take it truly as an offense, this is the greatest lesson for the attacker to understand actually that his attack doesn't work. So it also works in that direction. The other thing is, here we are talking about compassion and love and opening our hearts to everyone. The verse of yesterday was saying, whenever I see beings instinctively cruel, overpowered by negativities and serious problems, may I cherish them as difficult to find as discovering a treasure of gems. Why? Because if we really understand that the main cause of our suffering is our own selfishness, and we want truly to abandon it, we want truly to eliminate our selfishness, the only way of doing it is by opening our heart towards others, by allowing ourselves to see truly others independently of ourselves. Okay? That's what we call unconditional love. Unconditional love means I love you without putting a condition of myself before. So, it's easy to love those that are nice and kind to us. It's difficult to love those that are harmful to us. Why? Because we are selfish. If we go beyond the self, beyond the I, then there is no more point. I cannot love this one or that one. What's the difference? Okay, one is harming me, the other one is helping me. But they both suffer. They both exist. And one important thing that we saw yesterday, it is that if I love someone, it doesn't mean I must agree with him or her. Loving someone doesn't mean that we are supporting his actions and choices necessarily. I can very clearly love someone really, and at the same time be strongly against his behaviors and actions and choices. But often we do the opposite. We think that if I love someone, I must fully support and agree everything that he's doing. That's when we say, oh, how could I love that person? Look what he does. Look what is his behavior. So, when is actually the best moment? What is the best opportunity for us to go beyond our just, conceptual, idealized image of, oh, may all sentient beings be happy? Because we generate sometimes this generalized, idealized idea that we love everyone. But then someone comes with cruelty and harms us, and then we don't love him at all. He's not part of all. So actually this is a very dangerous trap. The trap of generating an identity of being a kind and loving person. And sometimes we are more attracted to the idea of loving all than actually to love all. I don't know if it's clear this. Okay? So, when do I have the real opportunity to open my heart? When I am in front of others. And when I am in front of someone that is harming me. This is when I can really check if I really love others beyond myself or not. Because, you know, if we are constantly with people and situations that are all kind to us, all the time nice to us, all the time loving and supporting and helping us, it's easy to love everyone that is kind and nice to us. And you may think, oh, I am the most loving person because I love everyone around me, as everyone is kind and nice. Then the day that one of these persons turn their back to us or harm us, or whoever else we meet and they treat us with aggression and they're cruel or whatever, then there we are, angry, or we want to put away, or with indifference and so on. So, what does this mean? That whenever we meet someone that is cruel towards us, someone that harms us, someone that insults us, that is precious as meeting a treasure. Because it gives us the possibility, it gives us the opportunity to truly open our heart and go beyond the selfish love. It's really, really difficult to love in a non-selfish way those that are nice to us. Because there is conflict. There's a sort of conflict of interest there. Because I want to love you in an unconditioned way, but at the same time, you are really nice to me and I am attracted by you being nice to me. So it's possible, but in the beginning especially, it's very difficult. Instead, whenever we are with someone that actually is not nice to us, it's actually harming us, it's actually acting with cruelty, it's actually acting in a way that we really don't like, then we don't have that conflict of interest. If we are able to love that person, that means we really love the person beyond ourselves. Is it clear? So, whenever I see beings instinctively cruel, overpowered by negativities and serious sufferings, may I cherish them as difficult to find as discovering a treasure of chance. Again, when I see someone that acts in a way which for me is disgusting. Okay? That's the opportunity to see, okay, now let's love him. Because loving him doesn't mean that I agree with his actions. Otherwise, Buddhas need to agree with everyone's actions. Or better, if loving someone means we need to agree with their way of doing and thinking, then Buddhas would not love almost anyone. Instead, to open our heart to see the others and to be attracted for their happiness, and to have aversion towards their suffering, which means to love them. It gives us a great joy. It fills ourselves. And this is one of the main qualities that we need to develop a so-called healthy mind, is to truly develop love. But it's not a process that we will do just by making prayers, reciting mantras, and doing visualizations, which is wonderful, all of this. It's a very powerful method. But if we need to apply it to our daily life, because if I stay a few hours a day making meditation, and I'm reciting the mantra, visualizing that I do emanations that go to help sentient beings, so I do the practice to develop love and compassion, and I dedicate to all sentient beings, and I do it really wonderful, I'm really doing correctly. But then when I stop the meditation and I go to my daily relationships, I act with selfishness. I'm not able to see the other. So the people I relate with, they are out of my whole visualizations and what I'm doing at the time. What is the problem? It's not the problem of being, how to say, hypocrite or being hypocrite. The problem is that we are putting energy in two opposite directions. That's the real problem. During when I am relating daily, what I am doing, I am making my own selfishness stronger. Then when I stop to pray and meditate and so on, I try to make my loving mind and altruistic mind stronger. But which one of the two actually work better? Which one of the two have a stronger power of familiarization? The daily life. Because while I am there doing the mantra, I'm thinking about other 20,000 things. And I am doing visualization, but I'm not necessarily feeling the love for others. So it's a very powerful method, but it needs time, and it needs many things. But, so in every text it says how to practice during meditation and how to practice between meditation. Here it's how to practice between meditation, which is fundamentally important. So it's actually a training that we do to ourselves, because when we are in front of a situation that someone insults us, what will be our natural reaction? Say thank you. We don't say anything. Maybe, we are afraid of saying something because we would not be so nice, or we don't want to create more conflict. But inside, what is the reaction? Attraction, aversion, or indifference? Aversion. That's the first reaction that we have. That's why we need to train ourselves differently. Training means we put ourselves in a position that normally we would not be in, naturally, so that we get gradually acquainted with it. So here, it says, whenever we meet someone that is cruel, remember that's the most precious opportunity we have. And it is an actual opportunity. I have been having, there is one person to whom I am truly grateful. It may seem strange, but I'm actually grateful in a way. It's one of the very few persons to whom I really got angry in these past years. And because, whatever, I don't need to enter into details, to lose time with that. But the last time I was maybe one or two times, I think, I got angry with this person. And who knows me well knows I'm not a person that gets angry very easily. Okay, it really takes a lot to take me out of my balance in this way. So, it was not for nothing, but the last time that it happened, okay, it was the second, I think, I made a commitment to myself. I went to walk over here in Albagnano, and then I made a commitment to myself. I am not going to get angry anymore. I'm not going to allow you with whatever behavior you have. It doesn't matter what happened, I will not allow that to take away my peace, to take away my stability, to take away my love, my respect for others. And then, somehow I have been training on that. And then it was interesting because these last days, the same person put me again into another training moment. Another, how do you say, task or training way. Which is the fact that I sent a present for Christmas, and the present came back. Not because of wrong address. Okay. And then, the true thing is why I say I'm so grateful. Because these are the moments in which we really need to practice and we need to look within ourselves and say, okay, I love you. You spit in my face and I love you. You give me this opportunity. And in the teachings of Lojong, very often it's said, our enemies are truly our best friends. Because they are those that allows us to see the dark side of ourselves and then to overcome it. I can say I am in a life where most of the people are always so kind towards me. So when I get someone that is not in that same energy, it's allowing me to train a part of myself and to understand myself and to direct myself in a way which I think is good. So I'm very grateful, sincerely. So this is just to say, if we make examples, better to make of our own selves. No? But this is just to say that in our daily life things happen. You know, there are people that we like, people that we don't like. If we do not take these opportunities as precious as they are, then we just will continue to cultivate more hatred, more aversion, more the feeling of being the victim. Even one day, there was something that happened, always connected to the same person anyhow. And then I was a bit upset. I said, oh, why this happened like this? It shouldn't be like that, you know. And I was a bit upset about what was happening. And then I was in the car going from here to Milano to give teaching. And then I had the reflection. I said, well, look at that, actually. You know, here I am, suffering or in conflict. Why? Because reality is not as I expected. That's all. That's all. Nothing more than that. So there is not one person to blame. Why am I unsatisfied in this situation? Because I expected it to be different. That's all. And most of the times we suffer because things are not as we wanted them it to be, and not so much for what things actually are. So one of the main causes of our suffering is actually our own expectations. It's actually one of the things that makes us suffer the most. Anyhow, if we put into practice the fact that whenever someone treats us unfairly, according to us, insulting us, or coming to discuss and fight or whatever, we give the victory. Which means don't enter into the fight. But not in a way which is in a proud or pride way. Because there are people that proudly do, okay, take the victory. So don't say me anything anymore, okay, yes, it's like that, but with arrogance. No. If we give the victory, then we should truly give the victory. We should allow the others somehow to feel victorious. No? The point here is not being attached ourselves to the victory. Because in the moment that we enter into the conflict, that's when we lost it. So, may I accept the loss upon myself and offer the victory to others. And I think this is a very beautiful way of doing it. Because we should never worry of losing, of not being victorious once we are in the correct path. Because the true victory is the victory upon our own self. In the moment that I am able to give the victory to the other and take the loss upon myself, I'm gaining victory upon my own selfishness. And what is greater than that? Come on. Someone may think, oh yes, but being in this way, you are very passive and then you don't do anything about situations. Not true, really. Even one day I was giving a lesson to school kids, and then the teacher put me a question, very well structured question. But in essence she said, one of the things that I see normally in this attitude very strongly in Buddhism, of understanding that the suffering is coming from our mental defilements and so on, is that finally Buddhist people are very passive people in front of situations. So, when we are in front of a situation which we regard as negative, as wrong, as harmful, okay, what is the right balance between doing something to change the situation and giving the victory and taking upon ourselves the loss? The first question that we do to ourselves is, in which way can I interact truly that I can make the situation better? Not out of the attachment that I need to do something. I understood this for myself one time. I was in Tibet many years ago, and I was studying in Panchen Lobsang one time. And then there was a situation there which I didn't agree at all. I was not happy about. It harmed me. And then I was thinking, what can I do? And in that specific situation, I needed to accept, which was not an easy process, that actually the best that I could do was not doing anything. Because anything that I did, I would just make the harm bigger in that specific situation. And then I saw that actually there is somewhere a sort of pride of I must do something. And sometimes we do things not because we really want the well-being of the others, but because we want to have we are attached to the idea of helping the others. Sometimes it happened to me that I saw this, because if I am sad, I just keep silent. If I am not well, the last thing I want is to start to explain why I am not well. I'm going through all of this, I just need my time to elaborate myself, and then I regenerate. This is how normally I am. And then I saw many times it happened that I'm not hiding if I am not well, so someone can see it and then come, oh Lama, what happened? Tell me, I need to help. And trying to do it, and I said, no, it's okay. Until a moment I need to go out of my being unwell to give the space to the other, to allow the other to help me. Because the fact is that in that moment I just need my own space, and then it happens that the other person gets so upset with me, you don't allow me to help you. But what the best way of helping me is shut up, It's like, just let me be. And that's a wonderful way of helping. And then the other gets offended. And then finally I am the one need to help the other because he got offended, So, this happened a few times to myself. So what happens is that sometimes we are not attracted to the happiness of the others. We are attracted to the idea of helping. Sometimes we are not attracted to the happiness of the other. We are attracted to our own idea of helping. I don't know if it's clear, this. It's tricky. It's actually ugly. Okay? We are here to look at ourselves. Okay? So, within that, when we see a situation that we do not agree, the first thing is make sure that we are attracted by the happiness of others and we have aversion towards their suffering. So we think, according to my understanding, what truly would be the best? And in which way can I interact that I could make some difference? I don't mean the difference, but some difference. In which way could I act and interact that some difference could be made? And wherever we see that we can do something, then we should do it. There is no doubt. Are we going to make mistakes? Sure. Can happen that we want to help and finally we harm? Sure. But that's why we are in the process of learning. And that's why love and compassion must come together with wisdom. Okay. But now we're talking about the part of love and compassion. So first of all, make sure that what we have is love and compassion. And not attraction towards an idealized image of oneself of being kind and good. Okay, sometimes we may have both together. That's fine. Another thing is not because we see that we are attracted to our own image of being kind and good that we will not do any good anymore. We continue helping, but we try gradually to change our attitude from just helping because of our image to really seeing the suffering and the happiness of others and really seeing others. That's where our enemies comes as the most precious jewels. Okay? So now, on the other side, we do whatever we can do to change the situation, but we don't need to go necessarily into direct conflict. If direct conflict is what truly will bring benefit, then we should go through it. One of the vows of the Bodhisattvas, which is those that act with love and compassion towards others, is a person that is completely loving. It says that a Bodhisattva is not allowed to abandon wrathful actions if truly necessary. Which means, if an act of force is necessary, the Bodhisattva should act with it. If that's what brings the greatest benefit, then he should do it. Like I found myself into, it's a very stupid example, but somehow it fits. One time in India, there was one boy, there were 4 boys that were living in the house with me. And somehow I was responsible for these young monks. And then one of them was very small. One of them would really be able to listen well. So if he would do something wrong, I could use some very, very cheap psychology to make it work. He didn't need much. Okay? Just, okay, why you do this? For example, I don't know, he took something he's not supposed to take. And then you just explain to him that this is like being a thief, that you're taking things without asking, and so then he starts crying and saying sorry, and then he doesn't do anymore. But then there was another boy, intelligent one, but he would not listen. He was raised up as a small child. For doing something wrong, the parents would just beat him. That's a normal way in some places. Anyhow, this boy was very active and very, he liked doing like athletic things, like jumping and doing all this type of things. So one time, what he liked to do was, in the 3rd floor where I lived, there was a terrace. And then outside of the terrace, there was like a small, like 30 centimeters, a very small part of floor going around the whole house. And what he liked to do, to jump there and go around the house on the 3rd floor. The problem was that it was whenever the windows opened outside. And whenever it happened a few times that I open a window and then I see him passing. I said, what happened if you open the window and you hit the guy? No? So I explained to him many times, please, you do not go there anymore. It is dangerous. Then he would not listen. Then I talked more strongly. Then he would not listen in many ways. Then one day I was there, I opened the window, I thought he would not do that anymore, and there he was passing by, and I almost hit him. So I said, I went outside and I called him, and then he was there waiting like if he was not there. Finally he came out, he was like 14 or something like that. And finally he came out. And then what I did, as soon as he came out, I hit him as strong as I could. Okay, I hit him with the mala, which is tradition in the monastery. And then, so I hit him with the mala on his arm 2 times, as strong as I could. And then I looked in his eyes and I do, you never do this anymore. And when I said that, I saw in his face that he finally understood it. But for me, I stayed few days with the pain of needing to hit a guy. It was not pleasurable at all. Okay. So, this for me was an example, a very small thing, but I felt in that moment that I was in front of something dangerous and I needed to use a forceful means in order to try to help him, because what he was doing was really dangerous. This is just one example. But what I want to say is it's not apology to violence or anything like that. It's just the fact that sometimes we need to have a little stronger actions. And it's not pleasurable, especially when we love others and so on. So it's in the part of the vows of the Bodhisattva, if a strong action is necessary, you should not avoid it.
This every mother knows. Yeah.
I don't know if every mother knows, but hopefully yes. So, when a strong action is necessary, then we should go through it. So this means that we don't need to be passive to every situation, but we should act in whatever way we see that is the best way to make a difference and to make a change into the direction that we truly want, based on love and compassion. Okay? I will just read one more verse, and then tomorrow we come back to this verse. I don't know what time is it, but okay. Kanla Dag, verse number 6. Kanla Dagi Pentavam Rewachewa Kanshiki Shintu Mirik Nechena Shenyantam Batawarshu. Okay, this verse is connected to the previous verse and to what we have said. So it says, even if someone whom I have helped and from whom I harbor great expectations. Okay? Even if someone whom I have helped and from whom I harbor great expectations were to harm me completely unfairly, may I view him or her as a hollowed teacher. That's tough. Actually, the text, as we go on, it gets more difficult. Okay? So, it says, even if someone that I have helped, I have given, and I actually have expectations upon that person, because I have helped him or her so much, as a minimum I would expect that person to treat me with respect, or with gratitude, or to be kind to me. After all that I have done to you, at least you could do this towards me, you know? So someone that we have really helped a lot, and in whom we do have expectations. If this person was to harm us completely unfairly, then we should see that person as the greatest of our teachers. Why? Because we are stupid? Because that's actually one of the best opportunities that we have truly to overcome our own selfishness. Because in the moment that someone that I have helped and that I have great expectations in this person comes and harms me in a way that I see as unfair, why I generate aversion? Because of me. At that moment, I am not seeing the person, I'm seeing the way of how the person relates to me. And one of the basic facts of altruism, of bodhicitta, is the ability to see others. We can never love others if we do not see them first. Once we see them truly, then naturally somehow we love them. Okay? So here, when happens this, that someone harms us unfairly, and we have helped, we have given, instead of feeling bad and why you did this to me, and we feel like somehow angry and whatever, say, okay, thank you that you gave me this opportunity. Because now I really need to check, and I really need to train myself, check my attitude, and train myself to act with compassion, to act with love. If we see the little is a sort of building up, no? The first one is someone that I see as cruel. The second one, the person harms me. The third one, there was someone that I have helped and unfairly harms me. And these are like 3 levels more difficult, in which we must be able to truly see the other independently of the relation that has with us. Go beyond what the other does for the I and the mind. So it's an actual real teacher. It's not just, in this verse here, it's not just as something, how to say, oh yes, you should see as the teacher because then you change your mind. No, he's the actual teacher. Because the one that shows us our faults is a teacher. In the very beginning of today we said, the sickness is to be recognized, the causes to be abandoned. Someone that shows us the sickness is a teacher, is a healer. Someone that shows us our wrong behavior is a teacher for us. So the one that harms me, through his actions, my selfishness will manifest, and then I can catch it. You know, it's clear, it's process. Again, if I am always with nice, kind people and so on, difficult. But at the moment, difficult to see where is our selfishness and so on. And maybe we can even get mixed in this sort of situation where everyone is nice to us and we love everyone and we are all happy, you know, love and peace, everything wonderful. But behind all that is our selfishness hidden. Because we are harboring a selfish love, which is better than selfish hate, but still, it is still selfishness. So in the front, when I am in front of someone that harms me unfairly, and to whom I have even helped before, what happens at that point? Then the selfishness cannot hide anymore. And we can see it, and then we can deal with it. That's a great teacher, if we are willing to practice. That's the main thing. Okay, I think it's quite clear, right? Okay, as I said the other days, these teachings are not difficult at all to understand, are not intellectually difficult, but they are only powerful if we want to put them into practice. Otherwise, they're just nice words there. And for many people, they would read it and they say, you guys are completely crazy. And then we look back and we say, you guys are completely crazy. Reality is relative. The fact is that we should practice, as I have been saying every day, in secrecy. We should not say to anyone, I am practicing Lojong, so thank you, you have been my teacher. And we shouldn't go to some of our friends and say, oh, you know that person harmed me, but actually I see him as my teacher. We should do our own inner process in secrecy. Once we have realized and stabilized, then we can share with others. But mostly we do it in secrecy. Why? Otherwise we would not do it correctly anymore. Because there is a very dangerous trap that if we start telling others what we are doing, then we get more attracted to the image of being the good practitioner than actually being a good practitioner. Than actually, I don't care, we should not care if we are or not a good practitioner. We will not receive the prize of the practitioner of the year. Or a medal that we put, okay, I am the best Lojong practitioner. So it shouldn't be in the fact that we need to care if we are a good practitioner or not. The point is that, am I taming my selfishness or not? Am I truly opening my heart towards others or not? That's the point. And this is a lifetime work. Lives of work. It's not one lifetime. Okay. So we will leave here for today. I already spoke more than what I was supposed to do.
Thank you.
And then we'll do the dedications, and then tomorrow morning we'll continue again. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. All'alba, possano i suoi gioielli concedere le loro benedizioni, possano aiutarci a ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e così pace il sentiero della nostra vita come ogni sia di buon auspicio.